Alright guys, this is a long play review for Fantasy World Dizzy on the Amstrad CPC. A truly excellent game released by Codemasters in 1989, and I promise there'll be no more egg puns because I'm sure the yolk will wear thin. Oh dear. Yeah, so there was the box art. And it would have been on cassette, released on a budget price of about £2.99. And Codemasters were of course the budget game specialists. And this is the third game in the very, very famous Dizzy series from the Oliver twins. Nice little loading screen, a nice title screen, and some jolly music. Now I'm sure most of you watching this will know about Dizzy and the Dizzy games. It's one of the most famous 8-bit series of games of all time, and I think this is the first game that introduced the family there. You can see Denzel, Dylan and a few others. Now we're stuck in a dungeon and we need to escape. So we're picking up a jug of cold water. The troll won't let us pass there, and some stale bread. So go over to the fire, select the jug of cold water, and extinguish the flames and escape the dungeon. So yes, this is a single screen adventure game with a fair amount of puzzle solving involved. Of course, find objects, find where to use them. And like there, I used a stale loaf of bread there on the rat. The rat ate it and ran away. Oh yes, there's a picture there of the previous adventure, Treasure Island Dizzy. So at the moment we're going to explore the castle and also look for pieces, coins. Sometimes they're hidden behind railings and bushes and things like that. So there's one we just found behind a railing. And there's another coin up here. Obviously don't touch the flames there or you'll die, and you can see some spikes above us there, so when we go further up the castle we know we're not to drop down there, otherwise will be one poached egg. Throw the lever there to open the portcullis, and yes, there's quite a few ways to die in this game. Thankfully though, it's introduced lives to the game. You've got 3 lives. Oops, made a mistake there. I've tried to do this as quickly as I could, and allowing a bit of time for you to read the dialogue and information that pops up every now and again. Now, yes, we need to get through that door at some point. More coins. I'm going to collect a few objects here. The meaty bone. Ah yes, and watch out, don't fall down there. Remember there's some spikes below there. So if you play this for the first time, remember, it might be worth your while there practicing jumping and moving about, how you can land and things like that. And we're going to leave that key there for the time being because we're going to get an object for one of our family here, and it's Denzel. And we'll have a little chat with him. Now your Yoke Folk family are a little bit useless. They don't really help you out apart from give you an object. See there, like Denzel's turned up his stereo and he's ignoring me now. But he's given me a rope, which will prove quite handy in a minute. Now to start with, you can carry 2 objects at a time, but there's a bag you can find later on that will allow you to carry up to 4. Now, there's a horrible gator there, but if you drop the rope around the alligator there, he'll stop snapping. And yeah, practice jumping around before you have to do anything difficult, so you can like sort of judge the distances of how far you can go. And watch out, sometimes when Dizzy lands he might roll as well, which gets a little problematic later on when we jump into the clouds, which you will see. The Amarog's den. Drop the meaty bone there and pick up the boulder. And he runs into his little cave, and the bone should keep him busy. Now watch out for this bird. Wait for him to be almost right above our head and jump, and he won't swoop down and eat you. Now you're collecting boulders, and you drop them in the water here, and it starts raising up that floating platform. And again on the way back, wait till he's almost right above us and then jump down. Now we're collecting coins as well. As you notice, we need to collect 30 of them to fully complete the game. And the object of the game is to rescue Dizzy's girlfriend Daisy, who's been held captive in a tower in the Cloud Castle. I'm just looking at the box art here to see what the actual full backstory is. So in this game it's an evil king, which we don't actually get to see or meet. They captured Daisy, threw her in the tower, and threw Dizzy in the dungeons. Oh yes, some sneaky coins to find here. We're going to just do this section first of all, but stand in exactly the right place and jump. This is really difficult to find if you didn't know about it. But look, you can fall through the floor there, and wow, a secret place for a coin. And this is a real pain in the arse navigating, and especially to get out of. You can't tell what's a platform, what's not, so a fair amount of practice is in order. But just follow my route. And apologies for any sort of jerks or delays in the video. I recorded this on a crappy PC over the Easter bank holiday weekend. And yeah, I had a bit of a problem with the recording of this. For some reason the recording was stuttering every now and again. Anyway, still watchable. But yes, I wanted to upload this over the Easter holiday weekend. Seems everyone's getting chocolate Easter eggs. What better than a game based around an egg? Oh, watch out, there's a hole in the floor there you can fall through. That's why I jumped there. So we're meeting Dozy there, and we kick his chair and he wakes up. Actually, it talks of a wizard's cloud castle. Now, in the other Dizzy games, you're fighting against Zack, the evil wizard. We don't actually get to meet the king or the wizard here, though. Now, a little funny thing here, if you keep kicking Dozy, eventually you'll kick him, and you'll kick him off the docks there into the water, and he floats out to sea. Nice little touch, that. Now, of course, Dizzy was from the Oliver twins, a very prolific programming team of two brothers, Oliver and Andrew. They of course did the first 2 Dizzy games, and then Fantasy World Dizzy, which is the 3rd in the series. The first one I ever played and fell in love with. I loved this to bits, this game, as a kid. Although I have to admit, the next game in the series, Magic Land Dizzy, is probably my favourite. But by Dizzy 4, Magic Land Dizzy, it was the programming duties was farmed out to a different programming team. I think it was Big Red Software or something like that. But they reused the same sort of code that the Oliver Twins had written, and the Oliver Twins did a huge number of games. It's mostly for Codemasters. Some of my favourites are 3D Starfighter, Ghostbusters 2 actually. There's one. That one actually was probably one of the non-Codemasters games. That was for Activision, and that was a brilliant game that was. Operation Gunship, that was pretty good as well. And lots of simulator games like BMX Simulator, Professional Ski Simulator. Oh, we've encountered a dragon here. Now drop the sleeping potion we picked up from Dozy. And the dragon falls asleep. So pretty simple puzzle solving. A bottle of whiskey here. It says it's too tempting to drop, so you drink it. That's interesting. Dizzy drinking alcohol. Consider this was aimed at kids. I actually played this Longplay video to my 2 boys actually. They watched the Spectrum version walkthrough. Oh, just picked up the bag there that allows us to carry 4 items now. And yeah, they watched this Longplay, or the Spectrum one, before I recorded mine, just as a reminder for myself really. And they were transfixed by it. They absolutely loved it. And when I was a similar age, I loved this game too. Although I never completed it until a lot later on, when I was a bit older. I think maybe some of the puzzles are a little tough. I mean, it is really. I mean, once you're sort of over the age of 10 or whatever, I mean, this is pretty easy stuff, really. But I think Dizzy got the right balance of puzzle solving and how to actually achieve the puzzles. It was obvious kind of what you probably needed to do. I've always hated adventure games where it's never quite obvious where to use a certain item on a certain object or whatever. How can I explain this? Adventure games where you have to be exactly in the right pixel to use an object. I absolutely hated games where you could just like a pixel out, you couldn't use the object, and you think you got used it, you'd gone to the wrong place or whatever, and you start all over again and go all over the entire map again and again until you retry it and found out you were just like a pixel away. Oh, I hated games like that. Or adventure games where it wasn't clear that you'd done the right thing or not, so it didn't give you the information back and feedback that you've used the right object in the right location to solve a puzzle. God, that was games like for example, I did the Doctor Who game, The Mines of Terror, recently. There's several places there it wasn't clear if I'd actually accomplished the objective. God, I hate adventure games like that. But Dizzy gets the balance just right. Maybe the odd couple of quirks and things like that doesn't quite make sense, but it was very rare for a Dizzy game. It wasn't until Spellbound Dizzy where I was Dizzy 5, was it? Where things got ridiculously hard, and it just wasn't fun anymore. Dizzy 6, Prince of the Yoke Folk, that actually is probably one of my favourites, and went back to basics. It was very simple. Before Crystal Kingdom Dizzy in 1992 introduced like levels and full colour graphics, and sold at full price as well. That's one I may look at eventually. But of course this is in mode 1 graphics, so we've only got like 4 colours on screen, but a higher resolution, and I think it makes it slightly more clearer for the objects and things like that. You know, there's more definition there, and I think it's done really nicely. And of course Dizzy looks really cute, and the designs of the screens, you know, the castle and the trees and things like that, all very, very nicely done. Simple stuff, but effective, and fantastic value for a budget game. So yeah, I'm trying to do this in the quickest time possible. Sometimes collect items and leave them in certain locations where you know you're going to need to use them. Some items are useless, like we just picked up a round hole, just put a hole in the bag and all the items have fallen out. But don't worry, we'll just leave it there, and it's not left a permanent hole in our bag. Ah yes, one of the coins are hidden behind a railing. The music from the excellent, as always, David Whittaker. Probably the best musician on the Amstrad. He did some fantastic music. And graphics by Neil Adamson. He did loads of games at Codemasters, graphics wise. Although probably based off the original designs by the Oliver twins. The Oliver twins are still in the biz to this day. I think if I do another Dizzy game, I'll perhaps talk about some of the more recent projects they're involved with. There was an attempt to resurrect Dizzy for modern gaming devices, consoles. It was a Kickstarter project. It wasn't very well organised and it completely failed, sadly, although there was a lot of interest. And that's a real shame, so we perhaps won't see a new Dizzy game for a long time. Oops, missed the lift. Those lifts are annoying and slow, fortunately. Occasionally a little bit of slowdown, which you can hear in the music, which is a little bit of a shame. Some of that may be to do with my recording of this, so apologies for that, guys. Oh, can we get through? Okay, let's speak to Grandad Dizzy. Some of the conversations are pretty good. He's left as a crowbar. But yeah, I've never looked at a Dizzy game in my channel before, and I thought, well, it's Easter weekend, and yeah, the Amstrad is kind of famous for his Dizzy games as well, along with the Spectrum. And I'm looking at, in my recent videos, been looking at the best games ever for the Amstrad, and well, we've got to take a look at Dizzy. I mean, the whole Dizzy series is a classic. They may not rate as the greatest games of all time. Not a sneaky coin there to pick up on a cloud. But the Dizzy games are dear to many people's hearts, including mine. I don't know anyone in the late 80s, early 90s who owned a Spectrum or Amstrad who hadn't at least owned or played a Dizzy game at least once. These were hugely selling games. Ah yes, we can use the brass door knocker here. And the door opens. So some strange puzzles to solve, but it did give me a clue beforehand. You tried knocking, if you walked up to that door the first time without the brass knocker, Dizzy knocks on the door, and it tells you that you can't make much of a knock with these little boxing gloves on. So so we need to find something to knock the door with. And we found a brass door knocker, so pretty simple stuff really when you think about it. Yeah, I think we're going to head down that well in a minute, and we're going to open it with the crowbar. But we need to take this little pygmy cow we found a couple of screens back earlier. But we'll just leave a couple of items that we won't need down there. The one annoying thing about these kind of games is the backtracking, moving, having to go back and forth, picking up objects, dropping them, using them, picking up the one you left way over because you had no room left to pick it up and carry it. Because you can carry a certain number of objects. Tad annoying, but way a strange new world. Everything's gone upside down. And rather cheekily, we'll meet a character in a minute. The Oliver twins are suggesting we're in Australia or something, because he's got an Australian accent. Yeah, we've gone down under, as the English like to call it. Just watch out for that flame there. And of course I'm going to do this without losing a life. I mean, it's pretty easy anyway. You can do this within 30 minutes and complete the game. Excuse me. Now if you stand around long enough in the market square here, the market dealer or shopkeeper will appear. So just be patient. Yeah, and here he is. And we're going to give him the pygmy cow. Not quite so obvious there that we would do that, but yeah, he's talking like an Australian there. Struth, mate. And there's a nice sense of humour throughout the game as well. And very nice, it's sort of based on fairy tales as well, in places. From that green bean, guys, can you guess what we're going to do with it? Well, I'm going to tell you. We're going to create a giant beanstalk, like in Jack and the Beanstalk. And such universal appeal to these kind of games. Kids love it. Even adults can enjoy it. I did enjoy doing this actually. And like I said, my two boys, they sat transfixed watching the video. And they loved it. I do wonder though, with modern gaming and the sort of the adventure games you can get, everything is so labelled so easily. I watch them playing through some games and they're just ploughing through them without much thought. And some of them are supposed to be puzzle and task solving, but modern gaming makes it just so obvious and so easy, I find. I think they would probably struggle quite a bit with Dizzy. And they wouldn't be completing their Nintendo DS games and Xbox games within like a week of getting them. I think they would kind of struggle with this. I did a little. I think when I was 8 or 9 years old. I don't think I completed it at that age, but I got quite far. And they certainly struggle with these damn clouds. Some clouds you can fall through, others you don't. So this takes a bit of practice and can be a very frustrating section. Yeah, but we're going up to the cloud castle here, and we'll see our girlfriend Daisy we're going to have to rescue in a second. There she is, but we can't get through past those spikes there, so we'll come back to that shortly. I'm trying to drop down to that cloud, that coin, and I think we're going to have to go through the whole cloud section again just to get there. Sadly, you can't get all the coins in the clouds in one go, so it's a 2 trips. And once we get on that cloud of that coin, we can't get back up. So we have to do it all again. But we're not far from the end now. And like I said, guys, I have to say I really enjoyed this. Summing up a little bit of a review now, because we're getting towards the end. Bearing in mind this is a budget game, guys, you might have paid only £2 for this from your pocket money. And the scope and the scale of the game is fantastic value, especially the playability and lastability. I mean, you would have been playing this for weeks, unless you're a little bit older and a little bit cleverer. And this presents fantastic value. So bear in mind it's a budget game. It's got great graphics. It's simple, but it does the job. It looks cute and it has great mass appeal. I think most of you on this channel will probably have played Dizzy at some point, so I don't want to flog the point too much, but lovely music, lovely sound effects, everything's smooth and plays nice at a nice speed. Not a great deal to fault, really. Yeah, drop the dragon egg off there we picked up, and the dragon will let us pass. Wait till his head's completely down though before moving across. Oh, actually, before I finish on the review, make sure you just visit this area to the right here, because we meet the troll that we escaped from the dungeon from, remember? And he's not very happy. But now he's appeared there, he won't be in the dungeon anymore, and there'll be one final thing we'll have to pick up from our original starting point in the dungeon, so make a note of that. But yeah, okay, overall then, what a score shall I give this? For a budget game, I mean, it's 10 out of 10. But judging as a game as a whole, against full price games or whatever, I'm going to give this an 8.5 out of 10. I think this and Magic Land Dizzy are the two best Dizzy games to get. I did really enjoy Prince of the Yoke Folk, but it was a really short game with only about, I think it had less than 30 screens. It was very easy and quick to complete as well. I actually think I completed that on my first go when I was about 10 years old, so I think that's a little too easy, but that was a really, really nice game as well. So the 3 Dizzy games to get, guys: Fantasy World Dizzy, which is Dizzy 3, this one; Magic Land Dizzy, the next game in the series; and Dizzy 6, Prince of the Yoke Folk. And 8.5 out of 10 from me for this. So we're off to do the final bit here, rescue Daisy. Careful not walk too far into the spikes, and use a rug we picked up in that cave cistern we just visited. Pick up the coin first before you lower Daisy down, otherwise you won't be able to get that coin and you'll be stuck, and you won't be able to fully complete the game, which is a little bit of a swine to throw in there. Yeah, just move over to the lever there, let her down. And here we go. Ah, Dizzy and Daisy. I remember my two boys watching this and they were just wetting themselves with laughter. They thought this was hilarious. Especially this bit. Daisy's not happy. She wants you to get 30 gold coins, and she's bagging off home and waiting for you at home in a strop. Made me laugh as well because it reminds me of my missus, as it does the boys. So yeah, we've got one more gold coin to collect. I'm going to get in trouble for that now. And as I said, we need to go back to the dungeon and our original starting point. Oops, I've just gone past the bit where I need to jump up. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, the ogre or the troll, he was in the dungeon originally. We met him below there. He's now buggered off, so and in his place he's left one of the gold coins. As you can see, we've got 29 gold coins, which is the top right hand corner of the screen there. Yep, and there it is, there's the gold coin. And that's the last one we need to pick up, and then we just need to take it to Daisy, who's waiting in our hut in the trees, in the tree houses. The green apple does nothing, I just thought I might as well pick it up. Keep the stroppy old bin happy, and give it to her perhaps with the coins. And what else to mention quick before the end? Obviously the Spectrum version is pretty much identical, just slightly less colours. I think Dizzy's pretty much the same colour as the backgrounds, which gets a little confusing perhaps. We don't want to fall down the well again here, just to save time. The Commodore 64 version plays very similar as well. I prefer the graphics of the Spectrum and Amstrad version, I have to say though. But one of the big things I've forgotten to mention, which I should have done at the start of the video, what's cool about the Dizzy series from the Oliver twins is that they were originally programmed on the Amstrad and then ported to the Spectrum and then finally to the Commodore 64. So these were kind of Amstrad exclusives really. Well, it's not really exclusive, Amstrad original, there we go. So that's something to be proud of, which is why I chose Dizzy game to do in my look at some of the best games ever on the Amstrad in the run up to the 30th anniversary of the Amstrad CPC. But there we go, we've just completed the game with all 30 coins, and we get we get this again. Ah, Daisy's happy again for the time being. There we go, so thanks for watching guys, 8.5 out of 10, and I'll see you all again soon. Alright, cheers, bye.